the video game industry, as I was doing research for an article I wrote for Stage Milk, is slated to become a $300 billion industry within the next few years, severely outpacing Hollywood. So in your experience, why do you think it's, what has excited you about this industry as a performer and as someone who's just really enjoys the type of entertainment it creates?
I've been a gamer my entire life, and the thing that I love about it is the storytelling, and so I think if I could pick one job to have forever and ever, like if I could only have one job, it would be to continue doing voiceovers. And because I love telling that story, I love how emotional it is and how in depth it is, and you really get attached to the characters, unlike the 90-minute movie that you put on or 120, whatever the case may be. There's so much more depth, I think, that goes into it, and the generations that are coming to adulthood are people who have grown up with gaming at this point. So it makes complete sense that it's taking over Hollywood. I mean, I dreamt whenever I moved to LA that the worlds would combine, and it's finally getting to that point.
Yeah, that is fantastic, isn't it? I too have been a gamer, since a very young age. I think I was probably playing Nintendo at other people's houses before my parents would let me get one. And then finally, I think Super Nintendo was like the first thing I could own myself. And from then on out, ever since then, I've owned a gaming system. And now that, of course, they've almost become ubiquitous in our living rooms because they can do so many other things, right? I can stream video on it. I can do all this other sorts of stuff on it as well. But it's very much a part of my life and a part of your life. And so many others have seen it evolve. And we've seen it evolve in a strong way, mostly favoring storytelling, not just technological advancement, but also storytelling. Right. So let's start on one side of the spectrum here, which is your side as a performer in it. You've worked in the Borderlands franchise. You've been involved in video games as a performer. What was that like for you? What were maybe some standout moments for you as a performer that maybe you wish you knew going in and certainly stand out to you now having done it?
Well, so my first gig ever was Borderlands, and I wish, but no regrets, that I had more experience going into it. It was definitely a great learning process, but I really had a good opportunity with that job, with that gig, to really understand the development process of how a game is made and the storytelling and the writing that goes behind it, the art. I really spent a lot of time at the studio while we were developing that character. And it's something I'm very grateful for. And that's an experience that I've been able to take with me for gigs as I've been able to build my skill and career as well. But also just falling in love with the gaming world. I knew that I couldn't just be talent, that I needed to be involved in more of a capacity than that.
Yeah, speaking to other folks, other actors who have been involved in games like, Red Dead Redemption 2, when I spoke with Sam Strelitz, who played Mary Beth Gaskell in that, and then talking to the two leads of Ghost of Tsushima.
I love that game.
Oh my gosh, such a great game. And so talking to those folks, really what I got out of it was this idea, especially in the gaming environment, even though storytelling is ultimately how the player experiences this project. You as an actor, unlike you as an actor on set, and maybe you had this experience as well, or you as an actor in another type of creative project, you're very much just a part of the machine, as Patrick Gallagher put it, who plays Khotun Khan in Ghost of Tsushima. Said you're very much part of the machine. There's so much else going on, so many other things that are actually far more important than you as an actor going on when it comes to building this game. Whereas maybe on a film set or something else, the actor, generally everything moves around them. And in this case, you are a piece of a puzzle. Did you have that experience as well?
Yes, I have. And I totally understand where he's coming from with that, because that's very, very true. I mean, more so in video games than in film or TV or anything like that. You you're casted, you're paid, you show up, you record, you go home. And then that's the extent of your involvement, and as much as that's still exciting that you're a part of something so incredible as whatever game you're working on, you are a gear in a huge machine, that's working and going on, whether it's with you or not, and so
Right.
it's not the voiceover that sells the game. It's, the story of the game that sells the game and the mechanics of it. And so, it's a little, as a an actor and as a creative, you're like, oh, it's not all about me. But it is really it for, especially as someone who is a gamer and I appreciate that process. I think I value that. And I've been able to kind of take myself out of, take my ego out of it a little bit too.
Yeah, and I think that
Mhm.
that's fair, but it's important for any performers to know that going into
Mhm.
that process, that
Oh
it
yeah.
is a bit of a different dynamic. The directors, though, I mean, there's still directors there, right? You're still going through
Yeah.
this creative process on the day, whether it's motion capture or voiceover or whatever it is that you're doing.
Oh yeah.
But that's a piece of a much bigger puzzle that could take years to accomplish before it finally comes out.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, gosh, it takes so many years of development for a game, and you're coming in, usually it depends on, what type of acting you're doing in the game, whether, like you said, motion capture or facial scans, or if you're just doing voiceover, like you're coming in at very different parts of the game development process.
That's right.
So
Yeah, you'll see
yeah.
a different side of things. So that
Mhm.
said, moving to this development process, really, and honestly, the development of the industry as we've seen it, you've paid attention to it. You've paid very close attention to it, doing the job that you do for many years. How have you seen the evolution of the storytelling process go from the early days to where we are now, where I think, and maybe you'll agree, that those who have storytelling capacity, like performers, like
Mhm.
writers, like directors, like even showrunners or producers or other people from the sort of typical Hollywood background, might
Mhm.
actually play a bigger role in the way that games are developed at this point. How have you seen that evolution pan out?
I mean, honestly, it's personally, I think it's with the evolution of the technology. So the fact that as a performer, you're not just going in and going to a voice booth now, you're doing facial scans, motion capture,
Mm.
you're actually performing with the other cast members. Whereas before you're in a box alone with the director on the other side of the glass. And so I think you're bringing a lot more life to the character. I'm not going to say I'm not gonna say, like, the storytelling process has really evolved, because I think the stories even 10 years ago were just as good. I think it's
Mm.
just there's more technology to get you more encaptured into it, and as well, more attention from other people too. The fan bases are growing. There's more write-ups, there's more visibility, there's more people playing it online and people watching it and getting really, trapped in the stories. And so, I don't want to say the storytelling process is different necessarily than just like the way it's delivered and maybe the viewership.
Yeah, I think you bring up a very good point. The audience is expanding
Mhm.
because the technology has allowed us to tell stories in a deeper way. I
Yeah.
think that's been my experience as someone who really enjoys entertainment, someone who comes
Mhm.
from an acting background, and someone who really loves games.
Yes.
I get pulled in to the story and the emotions and the moments, right? The time it takes to tell something. Right now, we're at the point where technology is so great, the way that they can performance capture somebody, an actor or performer, whoever it might be, uh,
Mhm.
can allow for just looks, right? Small facial movements of the facial muscles, right? That
Yeah.
tell a story, that tell us what the performer or the character is thinking without
Yeah.
needing to say it. Whereas before, it would have been all near impossible to do that with a character. So other things need to
Yeah.
come
It's
in play.
right. Especially like I think too, to speak to that note, the
Mm.
genuine reactions.
Yeah,
Because before that technology, it would be you say something, I say something, and the character is just like, flat face, just regurgitating the lines. But now, like you're actually, whenever you're in that cutscene, like you're actually seeing the actors be able to react emotionally
right.
to that. And so I think the technology has really played into the ability to, like, tug at people's heartstrings a little bit more.
Man,